So in this video, I'm going to explain a couple questions in the micro practice exam number 3, version 2. So this is the old exam, so I'm going to explain question 2 and 3. For those questions, actually the question has been with the old standard definition for M1, M2. So some of the standard definition has already been changed. So it's unlikely that in our coming exam, this question will be asked again, but I would like to explain this one. So for question number 2, the value of M1 money supply is, we know M1 equals currency in circulation, the $300 billion, plus all the checkable deposit, all the checking account balance, which include the checkable deposit and traveler's check. So this kind of old definition, because all of these items belong to the checking account balance. So the answer will be 300 plus 900 billion plus 20 billion. So $1,220 billion is the answer. The other stuff like small time and saving deposit, money market accounts, they belong to the savings account balance. So if we are trying to calculate M2, we can add in the M1 to this M2, the savings account balance, to get M2. So for the question number 2, A is the answer. For question number 3, in this instance, the required reserve ratio equals. So for this one, we're gonna actually using the equation as required reserve ratio R equals the required reserve divided by deposit. Deposit we show as a D. So using this equation, so let's take a look at the given information. So excess reserve is 0. Total bank reserve is $90 billion. So we know for today's class, if excess reserve is 0, so total reserve equals the required reserve, because excess reserve equals total reserve minus required reserve. Without any excess reserve means the current reserve is all required. And this required reserve divided by the deposit, which is a checkable deposit right here. So 90 divided by 900, that's going to be the required reserve ratio. So 10% is the answer. That's why the question number 3, answer A is right. Let's move to the question 11 and 12, the other two questions that are going to use our equations for the reserve, so for the deposit creation. So question 11, if checkable deposits are $4 million and required reserve are $200,000, then the required reserve ratio is. So let's pull out the calculator. So we're going to use the required reserves, which is 200,000 divided by the checkable deposit, which is total deposit, 4 million. 4 followed by 60, 4 million. And the answer is 0.05 or 5%. So answer A is the right answer for this one. And for the next one, if the required reserve ratio is 20%, the bank system has a total reserve of $10 billion. The maximum amount of checkable deposit that the bank system can legally support is. So this actually, the question asks what is the maximum deposit that the banking system can create it. Can legally support means can create it. So that's the definition, the maximum deposit creation. So we're going to use the maximum deposit creation that equals the excess reserve times the deposit multiplier, which is 1 over R, using this equation. So excess reserve, which is the current total reserve available, because in this question, the given information, it just said the banking system has a total reserve of $10 billion. So this under assumption that this $10 billion are all available for, for the bank loans to be loaned out. So we can safely assume that this is all the excess reserve. The bank is not required to hold as cash, but they can loan them out. So 10 billion dollars right here times 1 divided by R is required reserve ratio, 20%. So 1 over R, 20% is 5 times this $10 billion. The right answer is answer A. The maximum deposit that can be created is $50 billion. That's for question number 12.